2 weeks after I made that call, someone knocked on my brother's door. He opened it like he was expecting it. Not confused, not surprised, not even nervous. Just ready. But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. That's when everything inside me went quiet. Because in that moment, I knew something I hadn't been willing to admit for years. This wasn't a misunderstanding. So let me ask you something. If you spent 6 years sacrificing your life for your family, would you ever imagine they were lying to you the entire time? My name is Elena Carter. I'm 29. I work a stable job, nothing flashy, but enough to live comfortably. At least, I should have been able to. But for 6 years, I wasn't living for myself. I was paying debts that weren't mine. Medical bills, late mortgage payments, credit cards that kept getting worse. Every time my parents called, it was urgent. Every time, it sounded like they were about to lose everything. And every time, I sent the money. No questions, no hesitation, because that's what you do for family, right? I skipped vacations. I delayed buying my own place. I watched my savings disappear month after month, telling myself it was temporary, that it mattered, that I was helping them survive. But here's the thing no one tells you. When something is wrong for long enough, it starts to feel normal. At first, I didn't notice anything strange. Why would I? They sounded stressed, grateful, relieved. But then, small things started to slip. Little cracks. Like the time my mom casually mentioned being a bit more comfortable this month, 2 days after asking me for another $3,000. Or when I realized the same debts kept coming back. The same numbers, the same urgency. Like nothing I paid ever actually fixed anything. And then there was my brother, Jason. 32. No stable job. Always figuring things out. And somehow, never struggling. Nice apartment, new car, expensive dinners. Does that make sense to you? Because it didn't make sense to me. Still, I said nothing. I didn't confront them. I didn't accuse anyone. I just kept watching. Until one night, I heard something I wasn't supposed to hear. My mom was on the phone, her voice low, almost careful. "Don't worry," she said. "He'll get it like always." He, not we, not us. He. That was the moment everything shifted. I didn't argue. I didn't ask. I just picked up my phone and made one call. And that call would lead to something I never could have prepared for. Because a few days later, someone told me where the money was really going. If I had asked them directly, they would have lied. So I didn't give them the chance. Instead, I stepped back, and for the first time in years, I stopped acting like the solution. I started acting like an observer. Let me paint the picture for you. My mom, Linda, 58. Always anxious, always overwhelmed. At least, that's how she presented herself. My dad, Robert, 61. Quiet, tired, the kind of man who let my mom do most of the talking. And then there was Jason, my older brother, 32. Charismatic in a way that made people excuse things they shouldn't. He never held a job for long. Always had a plan. Always on the verge of something. But somehow, he never struggled. Not really. That's what started bothering me. Because at the same time my parents were calling me in near panic, telling me the mortgage was behind, that bills were stacking up, Jason had just moved into a nicer apartment. Not a downgrade, not a temporary crash, an upgrade. When I asked about it, my mom brushed it off instantly. "It's just a friend's place. He's helping them out." Helping them out? With what? And then the car. A newer model. Clean. Definitely not cheap. Jason laughed it off when I brought it up. "You worry too much," he told me. "It's nothing serious." Nothing serious. Meanwhile, I was wiring thousands of dollars to keep the family afloat. Do you see the disconnect? I tried to ignore it. I really did. I told myself I was being paranoid, that maybe things just looked worse than they were. But the numbers didn't lie. So I made the call. Mark Ellis, financial investigator, mid-40s, straight to the point. I didn't give him a dramatic story. I just asked one question. Can you track where the money I've been sending is actually going? There was a pause. Then he said, "If there's something to find, I'll find it." Days passed, and something strange happened. I stopped sending money. Just temporarily, just to see. And almost immediately, the tone changed. My mom called 3 times in one day, not just stressed, urgent, sharp. "Elena, we really need help right now." Need. Not appreciate, not thank you. Need. That word hit differently now, because for the first time, I wasn't sure they actually needed anything at all. Then my phone rang again. Mark. His voice was quieter this time, more precise. "Elena, I found the transfers." I felt my chest tighten. "And?" I asked. There was a pause. Then he said something that made everything click into place. "I know exactly where your money has been going." It wasn't mismanagement. That's the first thing Mark said. It was deliberate. Let that sink in for a second. Not a mistake. Not confusion. Not bad budgeting. Deliberate. I remember gripping my phone a little tighter. Not shaking, not panicking, just bracing. "Okay," I said. "Tell me." There was a brief pause, like he was choosing his words carefully. "Every transfer you sent to your parents was moved within 24 to 48 hours. Moved. Where? I asked, even though something in me already knew the answer. Another pause. Into an account under your brother's name. Jason. Of course it was Jason. But here's the part that hit harder than I expected. It wasn't occasional. It wasn't emergency help. It was a system, a pattern that repeated over and over again for years. Money came from me, passed through my parents, and landed with him. Clean, consistent, intentional. I didn't say anything for a few seconds, because suddenly, every memory I had, every sacrifice, shifted into something else. Every "we're struggling" turned into a transaction. Every "we need your help" had a destination. And it wasn't them. "Are you still there?" Mark asked. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Keep going." He did. Rent payments covered, car financing linked to transferred funds. Even small investments, accounts slowly growing under Jason's name. Not survival, not desperation. Growth. Do you understand what that means? While I was putting my life on hold, someone else was building theirs with it. I expected to feel anger, but I didn't. Not yet. What I felt was something colder. Clarity. Because now, for the first time, everything made sense. The repeated debts, the urgency, the guilt. It wasn't about survival. It was redistribution. and I was the source. So I made a decision right then. I wasn't going to confront them. Not yet. Because if I did, they'd deny it, twist it, turn it back on me. No, if I was going to move forward, I needed everything. Proof, documentation, control. So I did something that might sound crazy. I kept sending money. Not as much, not as often, but enough. Enough to keep the pattern going. Enough to watch it happen again and again. Meanwhile, I hired a lawyer. Quietly, started building a case, documenting every transfer, every request, every lie. And the more I uncovered, the worse it got. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. This was about intent. They knew what they were doing. All of them, even Jason. Especially Jason. Then, after weeks of preparation, I made another call. Not to Mark, not to my parents, to someone else entirely. And 2 weeks later, there was a knock on Jason's door. He didn't even hesitate. That's what stuck with me the most. When the knock came, Jason didn't freeze. He didn't peek through the window or ask who it was. He just opened the door. Like he'd been expecting something. Or someone. By that point, I wasn't there in person, but I didn't need to be. Everything had already been set in motion. Because the people standing outside his apartment weren't friends. They weren't neighbors. They were legal representatives, financial enforcement officers. And they had paperwork, pages of it. Documented transfers, timelines, account trails. A full map of where my money had gone and who had been receiving it. Jason's expression, from what I was told, didn't collapse immediately. Not panic, not fear. Confusion first, then irritation. "Is this some kind of mistake?" he asked. It wasn't. Inside the apartment, things moved quickly. Accounts were flagged, access was restricted, assets noted. The car? Connected. The rent payments? Documented. Even the smaller accounts, the ones he probably thought no one would notice, included. That's when the calls started. My phone lit up like it hadn't in years. My mom first. "Elena, what is going on?" Her voice wasn't soft anymore. It wasn't grateful. It was sharp. Controlled panic. I didn't answer. Then my dad. Short, direct. "You need to call us." Need. That word again. And then finally, Jason. I let it ring the first time, the second time, the third time. I picked up. "What did you do?" he asked immediately. No greeting, no confusion, just accusation. I stayed quiet for a second. "Interesting question," I said calmly. "You tell me." There was a pause, a shift. Then he exhaled, frustrated. "If this is about money..." "If?" I cut in. Silence. For the first time, real silence. Because now he knew. Not suspected. Knew. But even then, he didn't apologize. He didn't explain. He deflected. "You're overreacting," he said. "It's not what you think." That almost made me laugh. Not because it was funny, because it was predictable. "You're right," I said. "It's exactly what I know." And then I hung up. No argument, no shouting, just done. Because at that point, this wasn't a family conversation anymore. It was a legal one. Everything had been documented, every transfer, every timeline, every account. And now, it was ready to be presented. Fully, completely, irrefutably. My lawyer called me later that evening. "We're ready," he said. Ready. after 6 years of questions, doubt, and silence, the truth was finally about to be laid out in front of all of them, all at once. And this time, there would be no way for them to explain it away. They didn't deny it. That was the part I kept replaying afterward. Not the confrontation, not the legal documents, not even the outcome. Just that moment when everything was laid out in front of them and no one said, "This isn't true." Because it was. Every transfer, every request, every excuse. Proven. The meeting happened in a quiet office, neutral ground. My lawyer on one side, them on the other. Jason looked different. Not defeated, but stripped of that easy confidence he always carried. My parents sat closer together than usual, like proximity could protect them. My lawyer walked through it step by step. Dates, amounts, transfers. A clean line from my bank account to theirs, to Jason. Years of it. No gaps. No inconsistencies. When he finished, the room went still. And then my mom spoke. "We didn't think it would matter this much." Not an apology. An explanation. That was their logic. That I was strong. That I was stable. That I didn't need it as much. So they made a decision. Quietly. Repeatedly. To take from me and give to him. Jason finally spoke too, but not the way you might expect. "I didn't ask for all of it," he said. But he didn't refuse it either. He knew. That was enough. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. Because there was nothing left to argue about. "You didn't ask me," I said. "You decided for me." And that was the end of the conversation. From there, things moved forward quickly. Legally, the case was clear. Misrepresentation, misuse of funds, documented patterns. Jason was forced to liquidate assets. The car, gone. Accounts, frozen and partially recovered. Not everything came back, but enough did. My parents weren't charged criminally, but the financial ties were severed completely. And whatever relationship we had left didn't survive it. Word spread through extended family, not dramatically, just quietly, and people adjusted how they saw things. As for me, I stopped sending money. Permanently. I closed accounts, opened new ones, put protections in place that I should have had years ago. And a few months later, I signed the lease on my own apartment. Nothing extravagant, but it was mine. Fully mine. No hidden transactions, no silent expectations. Just mine. Some nights, I still think about those 6 years. Not with anger, just clarity. Because I didn't lose my family that day. I lost the version of them I believed in. And in its place, I finally got something real. Control over my own life. No more calls. No more emergencies. No more "we need." Just silence. And for the first time in years, it actually felt like peace.